This change of plans greatly upset Jonah, and he became very angry. So he complained to the Lord about it.
Didn't I say before I left home that you would do this, Lord? That's why I ran away to Tarshish. I knew that you were a merciful and compassionate God, slow to get angry and filled with unfailing love. You were eager to turn back from destroying the people. Just kill me now, Lord. I'd rather be dead than alive if what I predicted will not happen.
The Lord replied,
Is it right for you to be angry about this?
Then Jonah went out to the east side of the city and made a shelter to sit under as he waited to see what would happen to the city. And the Lord God arranged for a leafy plant to grow there, and soon it spread its broad leaves over Jonah's head, shading him from the sun. This eased his discomfort, and Jonah was very grateful for the plant. But God also arranged for a worm. The next morning at dawn, the worm ate through the stem of the plant so that it withered away. And as the sun grew hot, God arranged for a scorching east wind to blow on Jonah. The sun beat down on his head until he grew faint and wished to die.
Death is certainly better than living like this.
Then God said to Jonah,
Is it right for you to be angry because the plant died?
Yes, even angry enough to die.
You feel sorry about the plant, though you did nothing to put it there. It came quickly and died quickly. But Nineveh has more than 120,000 people living in spiritual darkness, not to mention all the animals. Shouldn't I feel sorry for such a great city?
This is the word of the Lord.
Wow. Thank you, Rodney and Suzanne. The words of that song you may remember from having sung it, as we've sung it many times here. Part of that song says this: with all creation, I'll sing glory of the King of Kings. You are my everything, and I will adore you. I will adore you, but will I follow you? I will adore you, but will I change my mind to follow your mind? I'll adore you, but will I change my walk to follow your walk? I'll adore you, but will I change my love to be like your love? That's really what the book of Jonah is all about. And we come to chapter 4, where that truth is made very clear. Interestingly, in the Hebrew text, the first word of chapter 4 is the word but. In many translations, like the one I'm using here, the New Living Translation, the first part of that chapter is translated this way. The first verse of the fourth chapter says, this change of plans greatly upset Jonah, and he became very angry. In other words, we realize from reading the first verse that we can't start with verse 1. We have to back up. And remember what happened in chapter 1 and chapter 2 and chapter 3. Because they're not the main point of this. The main point is made in chapter 4. And it has to do with not just adoring God, not even just worshiping God, but living the way God wants us to live and loving the way God wants us to love. So let's back up for a moment and just bring ourselves up to chapter 4. Chapter 1, God calls Jonah to go to Nineveh and preach against that great and wicked city. Immediately, Jonah hightails it for Tarshish. Sets sail on the ship, a storm comes up. The sailors, believing that Jonah is the reason for the storm, throw him overboard. But God provided a great fish delivered him using that great fish. So chapter 1 ends with that great fish throwing him up on dry land. Chapter 2, however, he's still in the belly of the fish, and he enters into an exuberant song of praise for God's deliverance. Even though he's running away from God, trying to get away from the call to go to Nineveh, still, when he's in danger of death, God delivers him through the great fish. So, having been thrown up on the beach, Jonah decides, maybe I better think twice about that call. And God comes to him again and says, I'm going to give you a chance for a do-over, as Preston called it last week. I'm going to give you another chance, a second chance. So go to Nineveh, preach against that great and wicked city. And so he does. And before he can get his 5-word sermon out, 40 days more and Nineveh will be overthrown, that's it. It's 5 words in Hebrew. Before he even gets the words out of his mouth, the people start repenting. And the repentance spreads throughout the whole land. And the king decrees that all people should put on sackcloth and ashes. All animals should put on sackcloth and ashes. Everybody should cry out to the Lord for deliverance. And then we come to the end of chapter 3, which is really the beginning of chapter 4. Remember then, chapter 3, verse 10, into chapter 4. When God saw what they had done and how they had put a stop to their evil ways, he changed his mind and did not carry out the destruction he had threatened. But, or this change of plans, greatly upset Jonah, and he became very angry. You see, Jonah had a problem with Nineveh. Most Israelites had a problem with Nineveh. Nineveh was an enemy of Israel. Not only were they an enemy of Israel, but they were a sin-soaked, lascivious den of iniquity as far as the Israelites were concerned. There was nothing good to be said about Nineveh. So Jonah wasn't really interested in preaching repentance to them. And when God heard their repentance and heard their cries and saw their sackcloth and ashes and their fasting, he changed his mind about the destruction of Nineveh. And Jonah was upset and angry. Who was he upset with? I suppose it must be God. God changed his mind. God decided not to destroy Nineveh, but to let them live in a new repentant state. And this just burned Jonah up. How could God do this? I mean, it's okay for God to deliver us. We are Israel. But Nineveh? It's okay for God to deliver us even when we sin. But Nineveh? Yet God delivers Nineveh from their wickedness and their evil and their sin-soaked society. And this is too much for Jonah. His real problem, you see, is not with Nineveh. His real problem is with God. And he knows the truth about God. He tells us that truth in chapter 4. He said, "Didn't I say before I left home that you would do this, Lord? That's why I ran away to Tarshish. I knew that you were a merciful and compassionate God, slow to anger, and filled with unfailing love. You are eager to turn back from the destroying people, but just kill me. I'd rather be dead than alive if what I predicted will not happen." And there's the truth of the book of Jonah. The truth of the book of Jonah is that God is a merciful and compassionate God. That He is slow to get angry and filled with unfailing love. That He is eager to turn back from destroying any people, even the people of Nineveh. Jonah is hard to discover that nobody can run far enough to get out of the reach of God. Now he knows that nobody can go far enough to be beyond the love of God. Even well, God is a bit peeved with Jonah. And so the Lord replied, is it right for you to be angry about this? Jonah didn't answer at first. He said, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to get out of this city. I'm going to set up a tent in a high place where I can look out over the whole city, and I'm going to wait for you to do the right thing. Of course, the right thing is to send hellfire and brimstone on Nineveh. The right thing is to make Nineveh a Sodom and Gomorrah. I'll wait, and I'll watch, and I'll see if you will do the right thing. And that's where the question is. Question for Jonah, but not just for Jonah. Also a question for us. Hear it. You feel sorry about the plant, though you did nothing to put it there. He came quickly and died quickly. But Nineveh has more than 120,000 people living in spiritual darkness, not to mention all the animals. Shouldn't I feel sorry for such a great city? You don't feel sorry for them, but I do feel sorry for them. And that's why I'll spare them. Because at the heart, God is love. God wants that no one should perish. The Ninevites believed that message. And they repented. But the book ends like no other book in the Bible. It ends with a question. And that tips us off to the fact that Jonah is meant to be read and put down. Jonah is meant to be read and thought about carefully. Jonah is meant to be read and attempt to answer the question. Like no other book, it challenges us. You see, Jonah was still running from God. We've gone through the motions of preaching repentance, and the people that repented, unlike any other prophet in the Old Testament, most of them had to fight and fight and fight to get anybody to believe him. Jonah didn't get the first sentence out, and everybody's believing. This is crazy. But this is true. So now the question comes to me. Where's my Nineveh? Who are my Ninevites? Jonah said, I'd rather die than live. I mean, we can live with a God who is at our beck and call. We can live with a God who has the same enemies that we do. We can live with a God who blesses and salutes our flag. We can live with a God who baptizes our social systems. We can live with a God who baptizes our economic systems. We can live with a God who baptizes our prejudices. But this God will not do that. Rather, he calls us to his life rather than ours. He calls us to his love rather than our love. His care for others. I can't help but think of a parable. It's one you all know and are familiar with. It's the parable of the prodigal son. Or maybe it should better be called the parable of the prodigal sons. Both sons are prodigal. The younger and the older, just in different ways. But best is called the parable of the loving father. The parable is about God and God's love. And there's some striking parallels between the story of Jonah and the story of the prodigal son. First, that God's love can reach to us wherever we may be and embrace us whatever our condition. In the parable, the younger son who takes the money and runs and spends it in dissolute living in a far country, that's Nineveh. The older son, who stays around the house, supposedly doing all the things he's supposed to do, but when the younger son returns and the father throws a party, he refused to participate. He refused to celebrate that a lost son has come home. So while the party's going on, the older son is sitting outside, pouting, sulking. So, when the Ninevites repent, when they come home, in a sense, where's Jonah? He's sitting outside, isn't he? He's sitting outside, pouting, sulking, angry with God. Of course, I want to be the one in the Word, don't you? And yet, until we come to terms with who our Ninevites are, until we come to terms with this love that God has, this love in which He is merciful and compassionate, slow to anger and filled with unfailing love, eager to turn His back from destroying me. Until we come to terms with that truth about God, we're likely to be outside while the party's going on inside. The fact is, as the old hymn writer said, there's a wideness in God's mercy like the wideness of the sea. There's a kindness in God's justice that is more than liberty. For the love of God is broader than the measure of our mind, and the heart of the eternal is most wonderfully kind. But we make His love too narrow by false limits of our own. And we magnify His strictness with a zeal He will not own. There's a wideness in God's mercy, like the wideness of the sea. Did Jonah ever repent? Did the older brother ever come in? Or did they miss the party altogether? Because they were unwilling to accept the wideness in God's mercy. Frankly, I'm glad there's such a wideness in God's mercy. It's the only reason I'm here today. So can I extend that wideness to others so they might join us here in this place? Can we know the truth about God and live the truth? Or will we know the truth? Live the lie. Lord, the book of Jonah makes the truth so plain. It's not really about Jonah's obedience or Jonah's disobedience. It's not really about the Ninevites' disobedience or obedience. It's about you. It's about your love. Unfailing, unending, relentless love. May our